Tonight, an agreement, in theory, for more RCMP officers in Saskatchewan, ones that were not included in last week's budget. Also, our El Nino winter is done, so where does that leave Saskatchewan spring? Plus, a Saskatchewan woman has found a way to cheat Mother Nature with beautiful blooms.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, March 25th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for watching. The union representing thousands of RCMP members has mixed feelings about this year's Saskatchewan provincial budget. There's not as much money as it was hoping, but there could be some consolation money. Dane Patterson explains.
Recruit them, and we will pay. That's the basis for a developing agreement between the Ministry of Corrections, Policing and Public Safety and the RCMP. The ministry is set to fund more RCMP officers if the police force can find people to fill the positions.
That's what we've been asking for. We've been asking for proper funding for the frontline uniformed policing in this province, getting more bodies into detachments, more bodies into communities. That's going to mean more public safety and more police safety.
The agreement in progress is similar to the National Police Federation's pre-budget ask for $100 million over 5 years for Mountie recruitment. For Buckingham, the agreement is the silver lining after a disappointing amount announced in Saskatchewan's budget last week. The RCMP received $228 million. There's also $21.6 million to the RCMP's First Nations policing program. Between the two items, that's almost 40% of the ministry's budget. It's just about a 2% increase to the RCMP from last year's budget, but not enough for Buckingham. But the big question is, why wasn't it included in this year's budget?
We don't know how many RCMP officers can be brought in, but what we're going to look at is kind of a memorandum of understanding between the RCMP and the province of Saskatchewan, a letter that would say, we're ready, we've got our money on the table.
Despite that, Merriman is not worried about having to go back and ask for more money.
If I have to go back to supplementary estimates and ask the Treasury Board to fund another 100 RCMP officers, there's going to be no issues on our side as to why we're spending those dollars.
The RCMP's commanding officer in Saskatchewan says that the money from the agreement, which Merriman refers to as sort of a memorandum of understanding, would be a game changer. Instead of RCMP having to triage and reallocate resources, it could keep communities staffed. And while RCMP recruitment has diminished in recent years, RCMP says it's increasing ahead of the agreement. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The city of Estevan will be getting an MRI machine after all. Last fall, the province turned down the offer of a $2 million donation to set up an MRI in the city. The Ministry of Health at the time said it needed to develop a long-term plan for the operation before going ahead. Then Minister of Health, Paul Merriman, suggested the donor could divert the donation elsewhere in the system. That decision was criticized by the donor and the opposition. Now, the government says it has committed to making the MRI a reality in Estevan in the future.
We're very grateful for the donor and the Healthcare Foundation that have committed to contributing dollars, raising funds for the machine itself, as well as the renovations that are necessary for the facility. So that's some of the work that's going to be happening now that we've made a decision to move forward with it, and those details will be worked out in the months ahead.
There should have been a no-brainer. There should have been, common sense solution. Here is an opportunity to get an MRI in an area of this province that is underserviced, for folks who live in Estevan area or in the region, have to drive to Regina to get care or have to drive to Saskatoon to get care. This is, again, an opportunity to provide health care when and where people need it.
The government says the province will also be adding an MRI as part of the Prince Albert Victoria Hospital renovation. There's no money in this year's budget dedicated to operating the MRI in Estevan, meaning it will not be a reality for at least another year. A Saskatoon business owner is desperate after one of his shipping containers was stolen from outside a BC warehouse last week. The company designs e-bikes and gets them manufactured in Asia. As Sorab Sandhu reports, the thieves made off with $500,000 worth of goods.
It has a new, improved motor.
A brand new e-bike design equipped with the latest technology, with a sticker price of more than $5,000.
It's a brand new style of bike.
But on March 19th, the team behind the bike received shocking news when 144 of these e-bikes went missing from outside a Delta warehouse.
We get a call from an employee at the warehouse saying, "Hey, I'm standing here with the police. Your container has been stolen," and that really just shattered our hearts.
The company posted surveillance video of the theft online. Delta police confirmed 2 suspects, a man and a woman, drove a semi-tractor into an insecure warehouse lot on NSS Island around 1 a.m. They hooked up to a shipping container carrying the electric bikes and drove away within minutes. On Friday, BikeTrick says they were told the stolen container had been found in Langley, but empty.
We have a few different containers coming, and this particular one was of super importance to us because it's a brand new model of bike that we've been working on for a long time, and we've pre-sold most of that container. Plus, this container also had about 8 of our prototype bikes.
Thomas says the loss is made worse because the goods were not under BikeTrick's control, so they have to rely on the warehouse's insurance.
I've made a video on it with the hope that if somebody spots them, then somebody can be notified.
This isn't fluke. This was organized. It was thought out.
Rob Brunt has been at the forefront of Project 529 for almost 10 years, an initiative aimed at recovering stolen bikes. He's pretty hopeful some of them could be recovered.
That container ends up in Toronto, and it hits the market in Toronto, and they're registered stolen on 529. When the public starts to register again, it will flag those bicycles.
Delta police say they're actively investigating the theft and are attempting to recover the stolen property. And while Thomas hopes the goods will be recovered, his focus on serving his customers, several of whom have agreed to wait a few more months to get the bikes they already purchased. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
It wasn't quite hoopla, but it was still a great weekend of high school basketball in Moose Jaw. Championship Saturday held boys and girls title and third place games in every division. The city of Moose Jaw came out in droves to support the event. Many of the large school third place and first place games were played at Sask Polytech. Even though it wasn't the full hoopla event, players and coaches were proud of what Moose Jaw was able to do just over one day of basketball.
It's great to have closure. That's something that I was really upset to not have throughout the season, is that it was so up in the air and it's not fun not knowing the end result. So it's great to just be able to have closure, and not only closure, but a big win.
I'm very happy the city was able to host almost all 48 teams for the championship. It might not be what originally it was, but it's still a fantastic day out here.
Over 40 schools accepted an invite to play in Championship Saturday across the 10 divisions. The Hoopla Weekend tournament was canceled due to teacher job action. Canada just had its warmest winter ever since record keeping began in 1948. In our province, all locations ranked within their top 10 warmest winters on record, and some experienced their driest winter on record too. Weather specialist Ethan Williams has more on why and what that means going forward.
This isn't what winter typically looks like in Saskatchewan. Then again, this winter was anything but typical. The warmer and drier weather was the likely result of a recurring weather phenomenon.
I think the main agent at work there was El Nino. It was a strong El Nino that formed this winter as forecast.
El Nino is the warming of Pacific Ocean waters near the equator off the coast of South America. The warm water warms the air, which then surges northward into Western Canada, enough to make some parts of the prairies more than 6 degrees warmer than normal through December, January, and February. In fact, nearly all of Canada was above normal during that same period, rare for any winter, El Nino or otherwise.
If you look at a map of ocean temperature anomalies, it's absolutely, seemingly off the charts.
And that, says this climate researcher, means climate change is likely also at play.
And this larger background that is impacted by climate change, I think really sets the scene for amplifying the signal of El Nino.
It also means things are not looking good for farmers again this year. Parts of the prairies are already under extreme to exceptional drought conditions as of the end of February. That's enough of a concern for the Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan to call for a provincial committee on drought preparedness made up of farmers, climate researchers, and government.
I think we could sit down and come out, have a dialogue about what does it look like? What are the options that the province has and the producers have at their fingertips that would alleviate some of the stress and some of these issues for producers moving forward?
No additional money was put toward crop insurance in this year's provincial budget. That's despite drought-related insurance payouts last year, putting Saskatchewan's finances in the red. The government has committed $170 million over 2 years to pay for more water bombers to fight forest fires. But the first of those planes won't be here until next year. Meanwhile, over 100 fires burned through the winter in parts of Western Canada.
It is an unusual number this year, and I think everyone's a little bit on edge, waiting to see what that'll mean in the spring when the usual, fire-conducive weather conditions sort of turn up.
And long-term forecasts show spring will likely continue to feature above normal temperatures on the prairies. This despite El Niño's expected weakening in the coming months. Still, experts say El Niño's effects can be felt long after it's over, leaving further uncertainty for those desperate for relief. Ethan Williams, CBC News, Regina.
Well, we're officially at that point in spring where everything's still a little brown and blah as we wait for warmer weather and buds to bloom. It doesn't help when the temperature is hanging out below normal like it has been, and there's also a chance of snow later this week too. Tyreek Reed will have more on your forecast after the break. Stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
Welcome back. Weather specialist Tyreek Reed joins me now, filling in for Ethan Williams this week, which means you get the glory and the pain of the weather that's coming.
Exactly, Sam. We do have some precipitation moving in, but for now, I want to focus on these temperatures that we are seeing because we are below seasonal throughout most of the province. Usually around this time of the year, we should be around 3 degrees above zero, but we're well into the minuses in some areas. Up in the far north, we're sitting at around -8 in Collins Bay. Down south in Regina right now, we're currently around -4 degrees. Same thing for our friends in Saskatoon. Now, of course, these temperatures are quite warm, but they are still below seasonal. So yes, it is spring, but we're not seeing those temperatures just yet, but that could change as we head further into the week. Now, it did look like spring outside today because we did see a lot of those clear and sunny skies, especially in the north. That's where we saw a lot of that clearing today. Down south is where we saw most of that cloud cover with peaks of sunshine. And we're still seeing that right now with some flurries to the west of us, but that will taper off as we head further into tonight as well. Now, heading into tomorrow, we will start to see a lot of that clearing move back in as well, especially in central and southern parts of the province. Here in Regina, we'll be in for mainly sunny skies tomorrow. And in the north, we will be seeing some cloud cover, and also to the west of us, that's where we'll be seeing a lot of that cloud cover tomorrow as well. Now, of course, that precipitation that I mentioned earlier will be moving in from Alberta. We are going to see that low pressure system move in through parts of the Churchill region and in the north. That's going to leave about a couple centimeters of snow, around 5 centimeters. Some areas could even get up to 8 centimeters of snow. Now, of course, we were feeling those breezes today a little bit. Right now, they are gusting near 30 in southern parts of the province, even closer to 40 and 50 in the far north. And as we head into tomorrow, we will start to feel those breezes still, so they will be gusting near 30 in southern parts of the province, but also once again closer to 40 in the northern areas of Saskatchewan. And those will start to calm down as we head further into the week as well. Now let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Here in Regina, we're looking at temperatures close to seasonal as we head into Wednesday, and even even at seasonal on Thursday, we'll see a daytime high of 4 degrees with some precipitation moving in over the weekend. But as we head into the week ahead, we will start to see those temperatures really climb. We'll see daytime highs close to 10 on Monday. And in Saskatoon as well, a very similar story. We are going to be seeing daytime highs close to seasonal on Thursday, but not quite there just yet. We'll get there as we head into the week ahead. So if you are thinking about heading out on this long weekend, you will enjoy some warmer temperatures, especially on Monday. That's when we really start to feel those spring-like temperatures, Sam.
That better not be an April Fool's joke.
I hope it's not either.
Thanks, Ty.
No problem.
Here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Here we go!
A full house of more than 4,000 fans in Sydney, Nova Scotia saw Rachel Homan's Team Canada rink beat Switzerland 7-5 to take gold at the 2024 World Women's Curling Championship last night. It's Canada's first world title since 2018 and Homan's first since 2017. A little closer to home, the 2024 Canadian Wheelchair Curling Championship got underway on Saturday in Moose Jaw. 11 teams are competing, including 2 representing Saskatchewan from Moose Jaw. Round robin play goes right through Friday at the Moose Jaw Curling Centre. Final draw is on Saturday at 2:30 in the afternoon. We'll be back after the break. So far, 7 people have appeared in court in connection with the deadly attack on a Moscow concert hall last week. While a faction of ISIS, the Islamic State group, has claimed responsibility, Russian President Vladimir Putin is trying to cast suspicion on Ukraine and the West. Briar Stewart has the latest.
The faces of the 4 alleged gunmen tell the story of their arrest and what happened afterwards. They appeared in court, bruised, beaten, and barely conscious. Late Monday, 3 others also appeared, accused of being complicit in the attack on a Moscow concert hall that left more than 130 dead. For the first time, Russia's president described the attackers as radical Islamists, but suggested Ukraine and the West could also have been involved. This atrocity may be just a link in a whole series of attempts by those who've been at war with our country since 2014, he said. The group ISIS-K, an offshoot of Islamic State, has claimed responsibility. It carried out a suicide bombing at the Kabul airport in 2021 and recently staged attacks in Iran and Turkey. Germany says it stopped the group from targeting a cathedral on New Year's Eve, and France's president said police there had also foiled planned attacks. We have offered to increase cooperation with Russia's intelligence services and our partners in the region, said Emmanuel Macron. France raised its terror threat to the highest level, and Italy has stepped up security ahead of Easter.
So we are seeing an upscaling by ISIS operations.
This international terrorism expert says Russia is a target of jihadi groups in part because it fought in Syria alongside the government against ISIS.
With the expansion of ISIS-K, they have been increasingly trying to tap into communities in Central Asia, but also Central Asian communities in Russia. And the way they go about doing it is predominantly online through encrypted messaging apps.
The suspected gunmen are all from Tajikistan. Russia has said they were arrested on the way to Ukraine. Ukraine and the U.S. have dismissed attempts to try and link Kyiv to the attack as propaganda. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
The United Nations Security Council has passed a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war.
14 votes in favor, 0 vote against, 1 abstention. The draft resolution has been adopted.
The United States was the lone abstainer in the vote. The resolution also calls for the immediate and unconditional release of more than 130 Israeli hostages held by Hamas. It also emphasizes the urgent need to get aid into Gaza and protect civilians. Donald Trump was due to pay a $464 million bond today in the civil fraud judgment against him. But a New York appeals court has lowered the amount significantly to $175 million. Trump has 10 more days to get the money.
Post either $175 million in cash or bonds or security or whatever is necessary very quickly within the 10 days. But Judge Engoron is a disgrace to this country.
If the former president meets the new deadline, the state will not seize his assets while he appeals the judgment. A judge found Trump and his co-defendants fraudulently inflated the value of his assets. Meanwhile, a New York judge has set April 15th as the trial date for Trump's hush money case. He's charged with falsifying business records to hide payments made to an adult film star to cover up an alleged affair. And Tyreek is back with one last look at your weather.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, so we're definitely feeling that cooler air move in tonight here in Regina with temperatures near -13, but feeling cooler than that because of that wind chill. As we're heading out the door tomorrow morning, we'll still be feeling that chill with temperatures near -14, but with that wind chill feeling closer to -20. But of course, as we head further into the afternoon, we'll get closer to that daytime high with mainly sunny skies like we saw today with that clearing. And of course, in Saskatoon, we're also going to be feeling that cooler air move in tonight with temperatures around -11, but feeling closer to -20. And of course, as we head further into tomorrow and the day ahead, we'll see that start to warm up in the afternoon with mainly sunny skies, Sam.
All right, thanks, Ty.
No problem.
And before we leave you tonight, with warmer temperatures will come one of the first signs of spring, tulips. But one flower farmer near Saskatoon says she's never had much success growing them outdoors in Saskatchewan. So Nikki Duncan learned how to grow them year-round in her basement.
Let's take a look at my basement of tulips. It's challenging to grow tulips in Saskatchewan because of the temperatures. Tulips are kind of finicky to grow outside. They require a lot of different temperature fluctuations, the right kind of temperature, the right kind of environment. I kind of fell in love with tulips based on a trip that I took to Amsterdam, and I saw all the beautiful fields there and was like, I want to try this at home. Like, I'm sure I can do this. I took a course based on some growers in Vermont that do winter forcing tulips. And so the tulips that I grow are in crates. They start in my garage and then they finish up in my basement. This one's been growing for a little bit. The buds are just starting to form. So forcing tulips is taking the bulb and rather than planting it outside, you plant in like soil crates. So I do soil forcing. And so that's making sure that the tulips are getting the right amount of cooling and then the right amount of growth, which would be like the root growth and the tip growth, and then the right growing temperature. So I have different stages of tulips. I kind of based on when I need them. So I would actually pick one that's even at this kind of color stage. And my favorite tulip is this one. It's called Columbus. It opens up quite big and it just is, I love pink and it's kind of such a symbol of summer and spring. It's so bright. I love looking at, super bright flowers. So yeah, that's my basement tulip grow room.
And I'm going to stop for tulips on the way home. Beautiful. That is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, head to our website, our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.